Hi again, everybody. Welcome back to One Ride on this Roller Coaster. This episode is going to be about domestic travel safety. You might have seen the earlier video where I talked specifically about the international safety and some things to consider. You'll find that there's some similarities in what I'm going to talk about, but they are applicable to both. It's just some slight differences in how you go about them. So the first one to really talk about is checking electronics. Uh, we know it's convenient to just take everything that we can and stick it in our check bag, put it in the plane, so we don't have to worry about it if you have a connection or something like that. The problem is when you start sticking high valuable items such as laptops, tablets, jewelry, stuff like that, you set yourself up as a target for a thief. Baggage handlers have to go through security screening to get their job to make sure that they're not going to do anything nefarious that could jeopardize a flight. That being said, they are human. It's not to say that someone won't steal something. Story that my father's told me is when he was in the Navy, he bought a shotgun overseas and brought it back with him, had it checked. When he got to Dallas, it was gone. So if you have something valuable that you're going to take with you, such as electronics, highly recommend that you go ahead and put those in a backpack, put them in your rollerboard so that you can bring them on the plane with you. I put some tips in the Traveling Easier video to help you get through TSA, because that's where you're going to find your biggest hassle when traveling with electronics. The next safety tip is keeping your ID on you. Now, this should go without saying, because if you're going to be driving, things like that, you should always have your driver's license. Now, if you're going to be going on a trip, you're not going to be renting a car, you're going to be using Ubers, or somebody's going to have a driver for you, you might not think about having your ID. But it is important to keep on you, just like I talked about in the Traveling Easier video. If an emergency comes up and you need to get to the airport, you need to have the ID with you to help you get checked in through security onto your plane. You can take care of any bags, whatever you left in the hotel, you can take care of that later. But if there is an emergency where you have to get out, you need to be able to get to the plane, and you cannot do that without your ID. Now, talking about IDs, most states have already implemented the Real ID, which is the requirement for travel now. Basically, what it is it's a additional security screening when they give you your ID, and it'll have, at least in the state of Texas, it has a yellow star that shows that it is the Real ID, so that when you go through security, they do the look, check you, and they let you go through. So, once again, make sure you always have your ID on you. Now, when you get to your destination, you need to have a plan for how you're going to get to either the office, the hotel, meeting up with friends, whatever you're going to do, you need to have a plan. Make sure you share that plan with someone back home so that they know what's going to be taking place. If you're going to take an Uber, make sure that you text whoever you have at home that, hey, I'm getting into the Uber, I'm heading to the hotel, I should be there in about 20 minutes. That way they can start checking on you if you haven't checked in with them once you've gotten there. We remember the story a couple of years ago. A young lady was getting an Uber in South Carolina, and the person that ended up picking her up killed her. Come to find out, it wasn't an Uber driver, but by having these periodic check-ins, action can be taken a lot later to make sure that you are safe when you are using these ride services such as this. But like I said, have your plan. Notify someone at home that you're getting into a vehicle and that you're heading to the hotel and how long it'll take, and then let them know once you've gotten there. The next thing you should try to do is blend in. You don't want to look like you are from out of town. I am pretty safe as a Cowboys fan because they're all over the country. I can wear my Dallas Cowboys stuff. But it's something to keep in mind that if you are going to an area where you have something that doesn't really blend into the area, you might not want to have that with you. If you look like you're a tourist, you look like you're not from the area, then you've become a target for criminals. So it is important to try to blend in as much as possible. Stories that I've heard from traveling internationally is you go into shops. The shops have prices for locals, and then they have prices for tourists. They know tourists are carrying money. They know that they're there to spend money, so the prices are going to go up. So you better protect yourself by looking like a local instead of trying to look like you are a tourist. Next tip is to, if you're traveling alone especially, is to travel as light as possible. If you can have it in a bag, you can have it in a single rollerboard, something like that, that is best. What you don't want to be doing is trying to get from the hotel to the airport to some other place, carrying a bunch of bags. If somebody sees you fumbling around trying to get these bags into cars, things like that, you are really not, you're worried about that and you're not worried about protecting yourself. But if you're traveling with just a bag, just a rollerboard, is something where you can manage easily and you can also keep a good awareness of your surroundings. A few years ago, I traveled with a guy who was head of security for basically an executive security company. One of the things he told me is, if you're going to have your bags and you're going to let someone put them into your car, you stay with your bags until they are in the car and the trunk is closed. The reason for this is you don't want to leave any bags, and also you don't want anybody putting anything in your bags. So while it might seem convenient that somebody's putting your bags in your car for you, you can get inside the car and you can wait. You want to stand there with them. If they say, "Hey, you go ahead and get in the car," like, no, I'll wait till the bags are in the car, and then you can get in. It is just a matter of protecting yourself, protecting your bags, and if you're going to be flying, you're supposed to always have your bags, know where they were and have seen them the entire time to make sure that nobody put anything into them. So just stay with your bags until they are loaded into the car, and then you can get inside. The last thing that I want to talk about is medications, your IDs, things like that. You want to have pictures of them. Now, you go on a trip, something happens where you brought medication for 6 days, but a storm comes in and your flights are canceled. We know the airlines have had lots of trouble this year with their computer systems really screwing up flights for 2 or 3 days. If you only bring enough medication for the days that you had planned on being gone, and then you run out of that before you're actually able to leave, you need to have a way to go to the pharmacy and say, "Hey, I need to have just a couple of days of medication until I can get back home." The best way that that's going to happen is if you have pictures of your of the label. If you're not bringing the bottles with you, then you want to have pictures of the labels on the bottles. Also, pictures of your IDs in case you are to lose your ID. Things happen. If you were to lose it, you were to lose credit cards, you want to have an inventory on that so that you can start calling your banks to get those cards taken care of. But the best way to do that is to have pictures of those and have those pictures on your phone so that you can start making the calls that you need to. And like I said, most importantly, it has to be the medication, especially if it's life-saving medication, insulin, blood pressure medicine, things like that you have to have. Make sure that you have pictures of it so that you can go to the pharmacy and they can get you taken care of. Okay, so like I said, these are just some tips that I've learned throughout my years of business travel. I hope that you find these useful, and especially going into the holiday season, these are just some things to keep in the back of your mind as you get ready to go on a trip to see family. We didn't get to do this really last year. A lot of people stayed home, so people are rusty. Trust me, I know. I see it in the airport how rusty people are in just going through the travel process. So keep this in mind, and it should make for a fairly smooth trip, something that you can enjoy, but you've prepared yourself to protect you and your family. And that being said, just take care of each other. Like One Ride on This Roller Coaster on Facebook. Subscribe to Raymond Giles 755 on YouTube. Give it a thumbs up. Share this with your friends and family. I'd like for this to kind of get out a little bit. And once again, give me your feedback. Drop some comments onto the Facebook page. Drop some comments onto the YouTube channel. Give me. I take feedback well. The other thing is, it just gives me ideas for what you want to see for future videos. so that I can get the right information out for what you need for your travels. So until next time, look out for yourselves, take care of each other, and as I said, everybody enjoy the holidays.